transitioning very well from top-level amateur wrestlers to the pro style. Julius and Brutus, the Creed brothers, have been WWE NXT Tag Team Champions looking to regain the titles. And who knows, maybe that will occur on Friday, September 23rd, when NXT Live makes its long-awaited return to the Havert L Fenn Center in Fort Pierce. Reminiscent of the newer Rocky-inspired movies, the crowd could be chanting, "Creed, Creed, Creed," on their way to victory. So thank you, Creed brothers. And I want to start it there, if we can, about the Creed name, Julius and Brutus. So I'm thinking Rocky-inspired or Shakespeare, Julius Caesar, Caesar-inspired. What say you two?
Yeah, I think you're spot on with both parts. Growing up, we were definitely big Rocky fans. I can remember vividly driving to Florida from Ohio in our 1992 white Dodge Caravan with red interior, and my dad had an AC adapter so that we could play VHS tapes on a TV the entire ride down. We watched the entire Rocky series, and we were big fans of Rocky, big fans of Creed, Apollo Creed and what he stood for. And then, you know, the first names also have the Julius Caesar Shakespearean type history with it. You know, we were trying to decide what we wanted to call ourselves, and we're kind of looking at attributes and characteristics that we identify with or we kind of relate to. And Brutus growing up would break things on accident. Even when he wasn't trying to, he'd grab the handle of a sweeper, he'd grab the handle of a microwave, of a door, and he'd just rip it clean off. And he was just a brute. He was a bruiser, an enforcer. So Brutus seemed to make sense. And then, you know, maybe egotistically, I see myself as a little bit of a conqueror, a little bit of a leader, and I identify with Julius. And then the backstory of history that goes with those two names and how they kind of are synonymous with one another, it kind of felt like the right fit.
It's such a cool dynamic too, when you're the thought process that goes into something like this, because everything is just so important when you're becoming somebody in the WWE superstar realm and trying to climb the ladder. And I'm curious too, because NXT Live is now touring Florida, has been touring Florida, making the coconut circuit, the citrus loop, whatever you want to call it, all the good names that goes along with it. And you guys coming to Havert L Fenn Center in Fort Pierce. Curious, what has been it like for you two experiencing those house shows, those shows without TV that you're performing on, and what fans can expect in Fort Pierce?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a lot different, but it's fun. Like you said, NXT is traveling. It's throughout Florida now. You can get your tickets at etix.com and make sure you do that. But yeah, I just think, you know, seeing the different atmospheres and seeing the different fans that you never knew had a Creed tower, Creed cloth, you know, but they're waving it and you're in a different town. You're like, oh, that's cool, you know. Just seeing fans from outside of the area is really, really cool to me. And, you know, I honestly enjoy seeing more working towards fans, I guess, like you said, and just seeing the different, you know, they'll be yelling stuff at live events and you can talk to them and yell back at them and stuff. And it's just fun that way. You know, you can interact with fans, and I love interacting with fans, any of them. So,
yeah, I think growing up, we were a family that whenever we did get to come together and watch a WWE event, it was often live events, you know, at the Wheeling Civic Center or wherever we might end up being fortunate enough to go there. And I think back to, it had to be like 97, 98. I had to be 3 or 4 years old. And I remember wearing like a Hawaiian shirt. And when The Rock came out, he touched my hand. And that was a story that I told for 15 years, you know, somebody that doesn't even know you exist in the world, like really like impacting you that much, or like being here. And, you know, we got the great opportunity to learn from Undertaker and Ring. And I'm sitting there on the apron and I'm listening to him talking. I'm like, this guy has made up so much of my childhood and so much of my life. And until this moment, he never knew I even existed in the world. And like, I think being able to go out and perform for fans and impact them in such a way is just like such a powerful thing. I hope that someday some kid will say, you know, and when I was there, you know, on the citrus loop or the coconut loop, and I got to watch these guys in NXT, you know, Julius Creed touched my hand, and it motivated him to do the right things and to live the right lifestyle and, you know, to follow us all the way through. So you're catching us on the early beginnings of hopefully really, really great things to come. We might not be near our final destination, but you'll get to see us on the journey at these live events, which is really, really cool.
And what I also think is cool, that you both are really good, positive role models. In a sense, you both are college graduates. You both have extensive amateur backgrounds. You both live what you preach, and which is really awesome to see, because, sometimes in the celebrity world, we get caught up in things and other avenues, but I've read some stories about you. One, I believe, from your local paper going back a few years ago and all. And it's just very nice to see that you guys could do that. But I'm also curious too, because part of that in being entrenched, what is it like as the Creed brothers, whether you're being cheered, or the Creed brothers when you're being booed or heckled or anything like that? Because you usually during that journey, it seems that anyone is playing both roles.
Yeah, I think the name of the game is to be polarizing. I feel like if they don't have an opinion on you, then you're probably not standing for something. So we have our morals, we have our beliefs, we have our foundation that we were raised upon. The things that our parents instilled in us were right and wrong. And, fortunately for us, I think a lot of people identify with it. They also feel that it's right and wrong. And if they don't, that's fine too. But, one way or another, we want a loud reaction when we come out. If you hate everything we stand for, cool, boo us louder than anybody. If you love what we stand for, cheer us louder than anybody. Because every single time out there, you can guarantee that we're going to give 100% effort and everything we got for you guys. So that's all we want. We want that same energy returned.
What a cool moment for you two. It was at NXT In Your House, and you guys beat Pretty Deadly to win the NXT Tag Team titles. And that night, the crowd was cheering, Creed, Creed, Creed. They had the Creed corner going. You had family, I believe, was there too, and you got to celebrate with them. What was that experience like, especially with family there?
Oh, it was definitely surreal. I mean, especially with your family experiencing it with you. I mean, that's who went with you and traveled everywhere, and you guys went through the hard times of wrestling to now. And it was just such a surreal experience that I remember telling Julius that I loved him afterwards, and it was just such a big family bonding experience that those are the moments that you probably would never forget. Hopefully, I'd hope not. And but the Creed Corner, it's funny you mentioned that. We actually didn't start the Creed Corner; the fans did theirs. So hey, as long as the Creed Corner's rocking, we're rocking. So
yeah, it's kind of been an organic thing. We don't have the second generation blood. People aren't behind us because of someone else that came before us. I think we're paving the way for future generations, and that's something that a lot of people can resonate with. We weren't given anything; we've had to earn it for ourselves. And I think the fans can resonate with that. Everyone out there is scratching and clawing and fighting and just trying to provide a better way for their loved ones. And that's the goal here. That's why we show up and we work as hard as we do. That's why we believe we're the best. And that moment at NXT In Your House was kind of just the culmination of some of that work finally getting to come to fruition. Like Brutus said, growing up, we lived a super busy life. I look back at the life that my parents lived, and I don't know how they did it. I have so much respect for it. My mom's up at 5 o'clock. She's going to work, making sure we're getting off to school. My dad's already at work at that point. They're working all day long. My mom's coming straight from work to pick us up from a practice, to take us to another one, then cooking for us, putting us to bed, and waking up and doing it the next day. The time that we spent together was on the way to workouts, on the way to wrestling practices, in the car, playing with WWE action figures, watching WWE. So to get to have them down here, and my dad was a huge WWE fan growing up, to get to have them down here and kind of all of that, symbolic and memorable experiences come full circle was a great moment. But I can tell you, as Drew was telling me, or Brutus told me he loved me, standing there next to the barricade, I was telling him, it's just a step in the journey to get to the destination, because as sweet as it is, I don't want it to end. And, I think there's bigger things for us to come. It made us hungrier. So hopefully it's just the first taste of success that we have in the WWE, as well as the first taste of getting a title in this company.
Look at you two. You guys do that so well. You guys just mold that all together. And you can tell who the older brother is, by the way.
The middle brother, actually. I'm the middle brother.
Yeah. Is he the middle? Are you the middle? Are you the middle of you two? You're the oldest of the two,
for sure.
Oh my gosh. And hey, growing up, y'all are from Ohio, and I believe Lexington, Ohio. And it's just interesting. What was you mentioned a little bit about your family and what they were doing, mom and dad, but what was it like growing up in Lexington, sports that you all played? And hey, I think of it this way. When I look at Ohio, I see so many top level pro wrestlers. You could talk about The Miz, Dolph Ziggler, Dana Brooke. Just go on and on. There's Johnny Gargano. There's so many more. Now the Creeds. What's in the water? Is there something in the water in Ohio?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think, I know growing up in Ohio, it's a blue collar area where people have to work hard. Everything that you get in Ohio is earned. It's not given. And, when you grow up with those traits and characteristics, and then come into a business like this, you can thrive. We don't clock out at the end of the day. This isn't a 9 to 5. This is 24/7. I'm living 7 days a week like I'm in game 7, and that every single moment matters. Everybody gets the same 24 hours. It's what you decide to do with them. And, we grew up in a different part of Ohio, actually, for the beginning part of our lives. The Ohio Valley, full of coal miners and steel millers and, just hard-working blue-collar people. And our parents instilled a lot of those values into us. And then we moved to Lexington, which is a little bit more of a white-collar situation. So we were kids that I always like to say, we were blue-collar kids with a white-collar opportunity. And sometimes, that made us kind of stand out. We were kind of known as like the crazy Creed brothers in the area. There's a lot of stories of us, being rambunctious and rowdy and probably not normal for that area. But, that's who we were raised to be. That's how we were brought up to. People say they were born for this. They were born for this business. I don't think we were born for this business. I think we were brought up to succeed in this business through the hard work, through the experiences we had, through my parents sacrificing and taking us out of a blue collar situation, but keeping those blue collar values and putting us in a white collar situation and being able to get the best of both worlds. That they did a lot for us. We grew up with 3 brothers. I don't think there was ever a time in our house that there wasn't a hole in the wall or a hole in the door or somebody wasn't hurt or bruised or beat up. We lived, we lived every single day like it might be our last, and we got the most out of it. We were rough on each other. We were tough on each other, and I wouldn't want it any other way. All 3 of us are succeeding very much so in what we're doing now. And I think that, those times in Lexington, Ohio laid the groundwork for all that.
Yeah, James, I was a little worried when you said you heard a story about us back home. I didn't know what it was going to be.
I didn't delve that much into it, so let me tell you that right now. Don't worry. It's so interesting because both of you are NCAA All-Americans and also excelled NCAA Academic All-Americans. I believe one of you to earn that honor as well, but both of you did well, as I mentioned, college graduates. Being that you both were able to do so well in amateur wrestling, was WWE a plan for you all? Were the Olympics a plan first for you all since you were in the amateur wrestling? How did that all transpire?
Yeah, so we both have different stories, I guess, and different paths in terms of the college and where we went. I feel like at first it wasn't really a choice or, an opportunity because we didn't know how to get there. And then this is from my personal experience of speaking. And then I got in college and he started getting traction being in college and being an All-American. And he can tell the story of how that happened. And eventually he's like, hey, I got a younger brother. He was always loved this. He would love to try out, blah, blah, blah. I eventually end up All-Americaning and I get that tryout and it was awesome. I could say that. But yeah, so the experience of always wanting to do it was there, but the opportunity and how to go about it wasn't. We weren't really sure. We just knew that that's something that we inspired to be something great one day. And we just are taking that path one day at a time with it. But you can speak on the Olympics. Oh yeah. Also, I guess I can say that the NCAAs did get canceled because of COVID. I was there. Yeah. So I was heavyweight. I was 30-0, ranked number 1, seeded number 1. And it got canceled at the tournament. I was actually, the hotel's connected to the tournament. So I was there. We're about to get a practice on the mats. And they had a coaches meeting. And they came back from the coaches meeting and was like, hey, it's canceled. And I thought they were joking at the time. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Let's go get this workout in. But now they're like, yeah, it's canceled. So that's how that went. Yeah.
And that was followed up with a phone call to me. And I was in Raleigh, North Carolina, getting ready for the Olympic trials at the time. And, you know, he was obviously distraught and upset. And I just told him that if the biggest things you can take away from these experiences are some materialistic accolade that'll sit on a trophy shelf and gather dust, then you probably failed at what it was trying to teach you. So, you know, it's the experience, it's the opportunity. I said it's the launching ground for something bigger to come. And, you know, like you mentioned, NXT In Your House was maybe something bigger than that. You know, I certainly have goals to be in WrestleMania. And, you know, I was born in 1994, the year of Bret and Owen Hart, when they wrestled each other at WrestleMania. And those are goals that I have for myself and I have for him, whether he wants them or not. I'm going to drag him and push him and make sure he gets there too, because there's things that I want to do in this business. And I'm fortunate to get to do it with my brother. And, you know, we don't have plans of stopping anytime soon. But like he said, growing up, it was, you know, what you followed, what you loved, what you dreamed. I always say WWE was what I watched on TV. Florida was a place we'd occasionally get to go for vacation. And a swimming pool was what we got excited for going to a hotel for. And I have all three now. So, you know, it seems like, you know, you're really making it. But, you know, like I said, it just kind of makes you hungrier. So growing up, it was what we wanted to do. It seemed like the natural transition from amateur wrestling to the international style of wrestling, and then eventually to WWE style. But like Brutus said, you know, as you get older and some of the, you know, naiveness leaves you, you're not sure how to best go about it. And fortunately for us, I've got a big mouth. You can tell I like to talk. It doesn't really bother me. Jerry Brisco in 2016, I had just fallen short of making the Olympic trials, of making the Olympic team. I was at the Olympic trials and I placed, and he was tweeting that he was at the Olympic Games scouting it. And I tweeted back at him. I said, doesn't matter who you're looking at. I'm a better prospect. You know, I probably said something along the lines of, I'm bigger, I'm faster, I'm stronger, I'm better looking than whoever you're looking at. And I certainly can cut a better promo. So he had like 30 or 40,000 followers at the time. I'm like, there's no way this dude's going to see this. I remember watching Jerry Brisco growing up on, you know, the Attitude Era WWE days. And sure enough, he liked it. He followed me right away, shot me a DM like, hey, I'm going to be watching you this upcoming season. And that was going into kind of my breakout year of college. And then kind of had the opportunity to break out. And, you know, a lot of the traction that Brutus was talking about happened that year. And I think some of it was definitely due to the part that I had dreams and aspirations of doing this, also pushing me on top of winning a national title, on top of doing the World and Olympic games. But to be honest, like I was watching the Kurt Angle documentary a couple weeks ago. Kurt Angle was 28 years old when he won his first world title. He was turning 29. I signed with this company when I was 25. That was definitely my goals. That was my aspirations for a long time. But when I saw that the platform that the WWE provided, you know, I kind of let those things go to the wayside. And I'm bought in. I'm 100%. I can promise you there's no one here that's working harder every single day. And, you know, those were goals at one point. But sometimes you have to sacrifice good for something that's greater. And I think this is the greater opportunity. I think this is, like I said, what I was brought up to do.
You mentioned Gerald Brisco, WWE Hall of Famer, and it's done so much in pro wrestling. And some don't know was an outstanding amateur wrestler in his day. And to have someone like that in your corner, that's a big, big plus. Brock Lesnar was someone that Gerald discovered, and many others. So we're almost out of time, Creed Brothers. I'll finish it up with this. I'm so interested. I'll make a comment first because speaking of Brock Lesnar, we also have Dolph Ziggler, Kurt Angle, as you mentioned, Shelton Benjamin, others, the Creed Brothers, of course, amateur wrestlers, top amateur wrestlers making that transition to pro wrestling and doing very well. And the Steiner brothers. And Braun Breaker, we know his father, Rick, part of the Stein brothers, and Braun is the NXT champion. And I'm curious, did you get to meet Rick? What are your thoughts of the Steiner brothers? I know you both are making your own mark, but there are comparisons with the Creeds and the Steiners.
Yeah, we got to meet Rick. We've shook his hand, talked to him, Scott as well, right? And definitely big growing up. We watched the Steiners a lot. We actually still take from them to this day, and all respect to them. We still respect them, you know, for what they've did. But at the end of the day, they can get it too. I think I would put the Creed brothers up against the Steiner brothers any day.
Yeah, you know, it's a really cool business to get to stand on the shoulders of giants and to see all the amateur wrestlers that came before us to help pave the way. You know, you talk about Jerry Brisco. There was also Jack Brisco. They were a set of brothers that did it also. You know, you have the Steiner brothers, you know, Shelton Benjamin. We draw a lot from Shelton Benjamin. I think if you could take all those guys and put them in one big pot and draw from the best characteristics of all of them, that's what we aspire to be, and that's what we work so hard to do. So hopefully, you know, you do get to see a little bit of Kurt Angle when, you know, I pull the straps up and pull them back down. You do get to see a little bit of Shelton Benjamin when, you know, you hit the run up superplex. You get to see a little bit of the Steiner brothers with the way Brutus throws people around belly to belly in them. You know, you get to see a little bit of the technical wrestling of Jack and Jerry Brisco, of Adolph Ziggler. You know, those guys are all very decorated amateur wrestlers. They paved the way for us. And, you know, at the end of the day, hopefully they can say that we took what they gave us and we ran with it. You know, we took the ball that they got down to the 20-yard line and we were able to get it in the end zone. And we stand on the shoulders of giants at the end of the day.
Yeah. I wear a mouthpiece because of Kurt Angle. So to say they didn't inspire us, you know, is far from the truth.
Well, Creed brothers, this was a very, very great opportunity to get to talk to you guys. You guys are awesome. And Julius and Brutus, thank you so much. Of course, Friday, September 23rd, NXT Live at the Havert L Fenn Center in Fort Pierce. Brutus, how can they get tickets? Do you remember how they can get tickets?
Yeah, they go to etix.com. That's how they get tickets. Don't forget.
It's like $10 and $20. It's really the best bang for your buck to see all this talent and have a good time. It's a real personal experience. I love going to those shows. They're awesome. So I want to thank you both so much. All the best. Hey, guys, I wore my Cleveland Browns hat. I thought I wore the right hat. Hopefully I wore the right hat today.
That is the right hat for me.
I'm a big Dolphins fan, but I started to wear my Cleveland. All right, guys.
The Browns are where it's at. The Browns.
Hey, we're both 1-0. But Brutus, we're both 1-0 right now.
That's right. All right. That's fair enough. Fair enough. Also, this Tuesday, though, I got to mention this. This Tuesday, the 13th and the 14th, we're celebrating 1 year of NXT. And I just say, if you want to get tickets to that as well, it's www.com/NXT Live.
Yep. Catch us on the USA Network, 8 o'clock. You know, NXT 2.0 celebrating the 1 year anniversary. It's going to be a big show. And, you know, the fans are getting to decide right now what the stipulation for our title rematch with Pretty Deadly is. So, you know, I'm hoping it's something violent. Vote for that steel cage. Let's see what we can do in a steel cage.
Yes, the Creed brothers bringing it strong.